the people that are working down them.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to call to order the annual meeting of the directors and members of the BLDC. We will have two meetings today. One is the annual meeting and one is the November 14th meeting. And the first section that we would like to discuss is the completion of the public authority accountability requirements. And Sophie is the chair of that. So we will review the annual mission statement.
Yes, and I think it's a subject of the resolution later on in the agenda.
Yes.
But if everybody can review that, I mean, I can certainly read it into the record, but it was posted, so everybody should have notice of it. Basically, it's just a review of our mission statement and our performance measure. There's 5 performance measures. And then obviously we have to fill out the annual confidential evaluation board performance, acknowledgement of fiduciary responsibility, whistleblower policy, and conflict of interest disclosure. So we'll make sure all of that is tied up neatly at the end, at or before the end of the meeting. Does anybody want me to go through anything in detail, or is everyone good? Perfect.
Okay, and then, all right, and then we will go on to new business, and we are going to do the annual approval of the BLDC officers and committee membership. So for this following year, we have the proposed slate of officers of Patrick Doyle, president, myself, Susan Farrell as vice president, Chuck Robinson as treasurer, and Ron Saul as secretary.
We'll entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to approve that proposed slate of officers.
Second.
Okay.
Favorite.
Okay, so now we're going to go through each of the committees that we have. So the proposed slate of committees for finance is Patrick Doyle, chairperson, Betsy Kaufman, myself, Susan Farrell, and Sophie Bergman. May I have a motion to approve that committee? All righty. We have the governing.
Give a second, and all in favor.
Okay.
All in favor.
Chuck
Thank you.
seconds, all in
All in favor.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
All right, next on to the governance committee, which is Sophie as the chairperson, Ron Saul, and then we have a vacancy there. I have a motion to approve those committee members.
Motion.
Thank
We'll
you,
let
Eric.
Eric make the motion since we're on the committee.
That's good. We have a second? I can second.
Good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Any opposed?
All right, on to the most important audit committee as Chuck Robinson, chairperson, Sophie Bergman, Juliet Erling, and a vacancy.
Motion to approve.
You?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moved. And the last committee, I will name the names. It is Patrick Doyle, chairperson, myself, Susan Farrell, the mayor, Jared Cram, Ron Saul, Wesley Grant, Betsy Kaufman, and would like to propose an amendment to that to add Frank Steno, who was on the strategic priorities committee, but just omitted in error. So if I could have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Eric.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. So now I'm going to go through the resolutions of resolution 25-2. A resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, BLDC, approving the performance measures for the BLDC for 2024 and 2025. Again, those measures are on the very front page of this. If you haven't had a chance to read them, I'll give you a minute to review.
Also listed as attachment A for the resolution.
Yes.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Are there any other topics anyone would like to bring up for the annual meeting?
The only thing is making sure you get your acknowledgement of fiduciary duties and responsibilities in, and any other forms that Rachel may have sent you. And if anybody has any interest as we move forward in being on any of our committees, just let us know. We set those at the annual meeting, but it's something that we can amend over the period of time. We have some vacancies, as you guys saw, so feel free to think about that as we move forward. That's from you logistically.
Everyone has those disclosures at the back of their packet, so if you want to fill them out before you leave and give them to me, that would be great.
Hearing no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion. Oh, second.
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor? Awesome, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the BLDC on today, Thursday, November 14th. Before you, you have the minutes of the September 26th regular meeting. I'll give you time to review those if you haven't. And then I will seek a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Rachel, if you could please present the September and October treasury report.
All right. So for September, sorry, these are printed front to back because it was a long packet.
I appreciate your commitment to sustainability, Rachel.
Yes. But we'll start on page 4 for the restricted account. And at the end of September, the end of month balance in restricted was 500,923.37 cents. Nothing major going on in restricted. On page 6 for the UDAG account, the end of month balance was 564,453.75 cents. Nothing particularly major going on in UDAG. No major loans went out or anything like that. On the next page, page 7 for the receivables, everybody paying right along. We can probably remove 142 Court Street from the receivables. They're paid off. It's just a thing. And yeah, everyone who was not paying continues to not pay. That's really just the one Ariel Hendricks.
Because we've made contact with Zach again, right?
Yeah, he's paying right along. He did kind of like a balloon payment, if you will, and then he
Yeah.
has, come up with a payment plan, so he should be right back on track. That's great. And he'll pay off.
Do we have any update on the Council of Churches?
Really just continue to have conversations with the state. I've asked repeatedly for documentation on their end that points to any type of path or any type of really paper trail to support their position. They have yet to do that. So, I've made the initial kind of request. I'm not going to kind of continue to bang my head against the wall with them, but have alerted the Council of Churches to that, and we'll be continuing to talk to them about how they're going to go after the money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not that you guys have done anything wrong, it's just.
Yeah,
You did exactly what you were supposed to do for the money, right?
that's correct. And we're supported by Senator Akshar's office as part of getting it done. There were obviously issues during COVID. And I'm asking for documentation that the states have not been able to provide to date.
Thank you.
So moving on to the unrestricted account for September, the end of month balance is 3,600,524.91 cents. Again, that's where our Boscov's money is, which is why it's such a large balance and so much income. The Triad account, there was no activity. The Mayor's Veterans account, no activity, and the grant account, no activity. So at the end of the month, the delinquency percentage for all loans not designated as non-performing was 0.23. We'll go now to the October report. Start again on page 4 for restricted. End of month balance for restricted is $505,042.17. Everybody paying right along there. In UDAG on page 6, the end of month balance was $568,401.71. Nothing major really going on UDAG, no loans. Saved receivables, everybody who was paying continues to pay. And unrestricted, the end of month balance is $3,609,560.03. And no activity in the triad account, no activity in the veterans account, and no activity in the grant account. So the same thing at the end of October, the delinquency percentage of all loans not designated as non-performing was 0.23.
Can we update both of the reports on page 12 to reflect the month that the delinquency is instead of, it says January 31st, 2023 on both?
Yes, yep.
Thank you.
That is it for the financials.
Thank you, Rachel. Any other questions?
I'd like to make a comment. I got the audit, preliminary draft audit for last year, Tuesday, and it's in their final, that I'm reviewing it too. So I'll have something next month. But I don't know if I should tell you about the corrections now or tell you next.
I would think probably next month.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll present the audit at the next
Next
meeting.
one?
With-
Okay,
yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, with the auditors, he'll usually go through it.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason it has to be done this month is we have to input it into Paris by the end of the month, but it's not required to be presented to the board before the end of November.
Thank you, Chuck. Any other comments? I'm seeing that we have no old business unless anybody does have anything. All right. For new business, we have three resolutions. Resolution 25-3 is a resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation to accept the recommendation of the loan committee to award 2 commercial facade improvement grants. Rachel, I'll defer to you to just chat about those in your attachment. You will see attachment A that discusses those 2 grants.
Yep, so these are gonna be, if approved, they're gonna be the final facade grants. It's gonna wipe out the fund, which is gonna be great. We had a lot of really great projects. This 82 Fort Street is a second project that this building owner has applied for, and it's to do the awnings of a building that he has a tenant in that I believe is a credit union. So right on Court Street there, really visible. I think that the awnings are gonna look great. And it's, hopefully a quick project. And this person has, done a facade with us before. That worked out great. So this is just a second one. And they applied for 3 projects. So this would be the second out of 3 that we would be able to fund. And then the second one, we're very excited, Winderlust. They are leasing the space at 7 Court Street where the old Citria was. And so this would support their new awning with their new logo. So opening up like a wine bar concept thing over there, which is very exciting. And she also is a recipient of some other grant funding from us to support the project. It's going to be a big project. So very
Grant funding.
exciting stuff over there.
CDBG, not through.
Yeah, not through BLDC.
Any questions?
The only thing I'll add is that what we found throughout the life cycle of this project is that these small dollar grants have been really, really impactful. They're not huge amounts of money, but to look at $15,000 when you're looking at an awning and think, is that the best use of my money as a business person? But it's hugely impactful visually in our community. So to be able to support those with relatively small amounts of money, encourage people to make investments in the aesthetics of their buildings, we think is really important. So we love kind of our larger projects that went through this, that had repointing and historic natures to them, but these small dollar projects have been really visually impactful.
Okay, with that, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay, resolution 25-4, a resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation authorizing reimbursement to Boscov's Department Store LLC for maintenance on the boiler and freight elevator. In your packet, you will see the full resolution along with attachment A, which has the invoices for that said reimbursement for the freight elevator. Give you some time to review that, entertain any questions you may have.
This was agreed upon under the amended lease that we are currently operating under with Boscov's. You'll see the next resolution is for us to enter into our new lease. So this helps us close out the money that is currently owed to Boscov's for some tenant improvements that they did for major replacements of kind of crucial systems in Boscov's. We've already approved the 563,888 1 cent number on July 27, 2023. So this is most of the remaining balance. There's about $20,000 that's left that we already authorized, but to date, Boscov's has not submitted eligible expenses for that. We'll continue to work with them to see whether there are eligible expenses that can be used to draw down that last 20,000. But at this point, really looking to move into the full $10 million project that we're working on with Boscov's and not necessarily split hairs over the last 20K here, but we'll work with them and see if it makes sense for us to reimburse this final 20, and if it does, we'll come back to the board with that resolution.
Can I ask-
Motion to approve.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
One question. Now, this is all working on the elevator. Are there plans to keep the elevator?
So this is the freight elevator, was
Oh,
what
it's
this
freight
came to.
Okay,
Yep,
Did,
yeah, so that there was more of a crucial need for operations. We just have not established the full scope. I know they want to replace the elevators, but it just depends on once they get in there, actually looking at the numbers. But it is their goal to
okay,
keep.
but that's separate from this
Yeah.
$10 million.
No, that would be included in the 10 million, but it's not included in this particular
Yeah,
reimbursement.
no, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, and Sarah and I did ask Boscov's for proof to make sure we were tying up all loose ends, and we reviewed that last week in detail.
Yep.
And we're satisfied with the information provided to us.
Yeah, I reviewed all of these invoices. I backed out a couple of ineligible expenses in terms of tax. So these have all been reviewed and approved by our attorney.
Just one last question, as far as the reimbursements go, it says they come out of the UDAG account, there was $563,000, and then this additional $185,000. I'm looking at our UDAG account, it does come out of this fund here,
It does, yes.
and so,
So it will limit our ability to make loans out of UDAG for the next period of time. Ideally, as we're starting to get those payments for active loans that we have, we'll rebuild that UDAG fund and be able to revolve those loans out again. But for the short term, we are going to have limited capacity lending out of UDAG. We still have capacity out of the restricted fund that has the associated complication of creating jobs or providing a service to low mod income folks because it's a CDBG fund. So we do have some flexibility in our loans, but this will limit our capacity for a bit of time.
Thank you, Frank.
I will also say that all of these investments are in the building. So as the owners of the building, we do ultimately benefit from these, even though they were done as a result of Boscov's needing them done. They're structural building improvements that we will benefit from as the owners in the long term.
Any further questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Eric.
second.
Thank you, Frank. Motion approved.
Well, all in favor?
There's
Aye.
that.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, we don't accept a poll.
Making sure.
Thank you, Sophie. All right. I know. Resolution 25-5 is a resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, BLDC, authorizing the president of the BLDC to execute a lease of premises located at 11-13 Court Street in the city of Binghamton, New York, more particularly described as Broome County Tax Map Parcel Numbers 160.4-2-5 and 160.4-2-4 with Boscov's Department Store LLC. Again, the resolution is in your packet for further review and comment.
And you all received the lease in the packets that I sent via email. I didn't print them because they're 80 pages long, but you have them. Have any questions about them, let us know.
So what was amended in this lease versus what it was before in layman's terms?
There, I mean.
It's
we could be
a
here all day.
completely
Yeah,
new lease.
Sorry,
It's a completely new lease. It wasn't really an amendment of the previous lease. We really started, I think, from scratch on this.
Yeah, because we had to clarify the funding sources, the eligible projects that they could complete that would be there's the 5 million of county and city money, and then the 5 million of anticipated state money that we're still kind of waiting on. So we had to clarify that we don't actually have that money in hand. We don't have a grant disbursement agreement yet. Right. So that if something, God forbid, fell through, we didn't risk reaching lease. Did a schedule of eligible expenses that would be eligible for reimbursement. It's not a direct pay. We're not getting a lump sum of $5 million. It's a reimbursable grant. We have to provide proof that the money was spent on eligible expenses. I don't have the lease in front of me. I didn't bring it down, but I mean, the typical provisions of everybody's rights and responsibilities are outlined.
Yep.
If anybody reviewed the lease and has questions, I'm happy to answer those. Again, we could be here all day. If you want me to go through paragraph by paragraph, I can go grab it and do that for you, certainly, but.
The largest changes were what was reflected in the LOI that was already approved by this board. Should we note that at 9:26, our fair president has entered the room?
But we just made sure everybody's rights and responsibilities were outlined, that the lease was legally sufficient, that we're protected, that Boscov is protected, and it outlines the funds. But adequately to ensure we meet our fiduciary responsibilities.
Yeah, and I think the biggest changes were really just what was already approved in the LOI, and this out all the legal structure around how we're actually going to accomplish the goals of what was in the letter of intent that we executed with Boscov's. So I don't believe there were any material changes from the letter of intent into the lease. It was just building out that full document. And want to give a lot of kudos
Yeah.
to Sophie and her team for all of the work that they did on reviewing this.
Herculean task,
Yes.
but does anyone have any questions after reviewing the lease? All right, I hear none, so.
Thank you, Sophie.
No.
What's the
Sarah,
question? I didn't hear that, sorry.
the end date of the lease?
It's a 10-year term.
Yeah, so.
So it's 2035,
Yeah, depending on when we execute.
depending upon when it's executed.
2034. Yep.
Any further questions or comments?
The other thing just headed to city council next week is the requisite parking agreement, which is tied in with the lease, so for decades, Boscov's has had the lease with the BLDC. And then the parking agreement with the city that allows them to validate, and obviously they're the key driver there. So let's set it to council, should be all set, and this will close out the voting approvals on that lease. And again, I want to thank Sarah and Sophie for a lot of hours on this back and forth over many months to get this to where we are today.
Will validation be available to other stores? Like
Yes.
I could validate for my customers
100%. Any
And
downtown
both-
store,
in both ramps or just this one?
all ramps, we can
Oh,
do
great.
validation. Yep.
I opted in. Whatever
And I think they're
cost
doing
to
it
do
right now.
Laz is going to be doing outreach to all the local businesses, and we're working with them on getting that information out to allow you guys to do validation. I will say the Boscov's parking agreement is a different agreement than we
That's
would have
fine,
with
but
most other
That's
businesses,
fine,
but
but I want people, my
yes.
customers to park in a beautiful, safe, clean, bright ramp, and I'm more than happy to pay them.
Good. Yeah.
We have a lot of businesses already interested in validation, so we're excited to be able to roll that out.
Thank you.
May I have a motion for resolution 25-5?
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair.
All right, terrific. Resolution passed. Thank you so much for all your hard work. I know this is, like you said, a Herculean task and something that took a long time to come to fruition, and happy to see it moving.
Next steps
Wonderful.
is we're gonna start building some stuff over there now that we've got that license.
Yes.
More updates to come.
Wonderful news. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. A couple of things. First of all, Eric, want to welcome you to the BLDC. This is your first meeting, right?
Yes, it is.
So, for those who don't know Eric's heavily involved at the incubator downtown, really this entrepreneurial ecosystem that's been built out kind of from the university, but also into the community too. So we had a great conversation last month or so about things that are happening. I think that he's going to bring a lot of knowledge and expertise to the BLDC. Utilize Eric as a resource, and likewise the other folks on the board should utilize them as a resource too. Hopefully, everyone in the room, give some hellos after the meeting. I think we've got a great group. You know this guy, right?
Barely. You look familiar to me.
Can't place it. We've got a really, I think, a diversity of backgrounds and just a really good working group as we relate to economic development. So Eric, welcome aboard.
Thank you very
The Boscovs, this is a huge piece in economic development in downtown Binghamton, and I think righting the ship from a lease standpoint, from a standpoint of clarity on the building is publicly owned, we have a tenant, we have improvements, leveraging that money from the state, leveraging the 10-year lease, which, in today's retail environment, having a downtown department store is a diamond in the rough. And so it's really important that we continue to do this. Boscovs remains a key driver of traffic into downtown Binghamton. We have the parking garage that will be opening very, very soon. The expected streetscape improvements happening in the spring and summer of next year. That entire area downtown between the parking ramp investment, between Boscov's investment, and between the streetscape investment, you're talking about something like maybe $40 million of public and private investment happening in that kind of part of downtown to build out our walkable arts district, to support all of the small businesses and the employees, the residents. It's really, I think, going to be an exciting summer next year, and people that have not been to the city of Binghamton in a few years will be, I think, wowed by that new development happening near Water Street. Another really exciting announcement we made, and a lot of folks in this room are there, is Firemar in the first ward, 40+ jobs going to the former cogeneration power plant. I think it tells a great story about Binghamton. Here we have an old mothballed natural gas power plant that was operating as a peaker plant, which is really some of the least efficient and most polluting types of power generation you can have. Now we're changing that narrative, and clean energy jobs will be in that building now. The state is making a huge investment. Firemar is making more than $4 million in investment in new equipment and cleaning out that space. And again, these are dozens and dozens of high-paying manufacturing jobs in clean energy, with the availability to grow to more than 100 jobs at that site. So again, really cool story. Glad so many members of the BLDC could be with us there for the celebration, and I think we can continue that momentum on Clinton Street. Continue fighting for the first ward, and getting Binghamton the jobs and the investment that really we deserve. And that's all I had today.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Sarah?
So just wanted to highlight that, thanks to Mr. Saul's advocacy, that we did install the lights in downtown, the half snowflake lights on the light poles. We've gotten really, really positive responses to them. I think they look great. Ron and I are going to continue to talk about, getting the business owners involved and helping us kind of spruce up downtown for the holidays as we move forward. With the advent of the garage that will be open for the holiday season, we think it'll be a really great year for small businesses, and definitely encourage all of you guys to come out. We have our Small Business Saturday tree lighting, as we have every year. That'll be held out at 5:30 on November 30th. So would love to see you guys there supporting local businesses. We are applying for 2 different grant awards through the city right now. Restore New York, which we're looking for $550,000 to support the demolition at 191 Front Street in consideration of affordable housing that will ideally be built there. It's an old car dealership, as many of you know. It's attracting crime and vagrancy, and costing the property owner, who's in good faith working to advance this proposal, additional carrying costs as they work through those state approvals. And so this is just a way to help them advance that project. I know we've talked about this a lot, but HCR has given us a lot of kudos for our investment in pre-development activities for affordable housing to get things shovel ready, so that by the time they're ready to fund, there are no additional obstacles at the local level. So I think we'll continue to do that as a strategy. It's been really well received by the state, and the partners that we're working with in development are very happy with it as well. And then our downtown revitalization initiative application is in. Our presentation is on December 4th. So I will once again be requesting $10 million for Clinton Street. I think it's a no-brainer. It has all the bones there. We had a great tour with the REDC just last week. And I think they understood the vision. All the members were not there. And so we're hoping to really solidify that support at the REDC meeting. And we're getting a couple of property owners and project owners to be in the room to really talk about what the DRI would mean for Clinton Street and for the community. But I think with the momentum that we have over there, it could really be a shot in the arm to Clinton Street. I mean, we're continuing to make investments as a stated priority of the mayor's office. But that $10 million, just in terms of the attention it would attract and the support from the state, in addition to the funds, I think would be crucial to accelerating that growth on Clinton Street and showing some real wins over there. I would also like to point out that I think the REDC would be hard pressed to find another DRI community that's proposing over 250 units of affordable housing in their DRI area. So that's going to be a key crucial point of our plan. And the DRI designation does accelerate your ability to get tax credits from the state. So the investment from the state would allow us to significantly address our housing crisis, not just in our area, but supporting New York State's goals of adding thousands and thousands of units in a very short period of time. Final thing I have is that the BLDC will be reviewing the proposals that came in for the development at 69 Collier Street. We'd like to assemble a working group that is consisted of our officers and our city council members to review those. So we'll be in touch with you guys to talk about what that review process looks like. I have all of the submittals from the one proposal that came in. So there'll be more conversations to come, and then we'll bring the results of that working group back to this body.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions, comments? We have our next BLDC board meeting is December 19th, where I believe we will be reviewing the annual report at 9 a.m. And I would like to make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.